What if I told you that the universe operates on a set of 7 immutable laws and that 99% of people live their lives without ever knowing these laws exist? These are not just philosophies, but the master keys to unlocking reality itself. Welcome back to another incredible episode here on the Neural Blueprint. This episode is about the 7 universal Hermetic principles. But before we dive into that, let's first go back 5,000 years in history. I think it's important to get an understanding of the society and culture at that time and what is still standing. One of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the iconic Great Pyramids and the mystery that surrounds it. Egypt was a lush green ribbon of farmland. The annual predictable flooding of the River Nile allowed for prosperous agriculture, filling the land with crops like wheat, barley and flax. The skyline was dominated by massive, shining, bright white limestone pyramids. We see the pyramids today as a sandy tan colour, but in Egyptian times, they were covered in limestone, reflecting the sunlight and sparkling like diamonds from miles away. The Egyptians typically had light brown or bronze skin, which was often depicted in art, alongside heavy black eye makeup called coral. It was used by both men and women to protect their eyes from the sun. Due to the heat, clothing was simple and mostly made of white linen. Men wore kilts, while women wore simple straight ankle-length dresses with shoulder straps. Wigs were also very common, worn by both men and women, often made of human's hair or sheep's wool. Both genders wore jewellery, such as beaded necklaces, wide collars, bracelets, and they were often made with turquoise, gold and lapis lazuli. Back in Egyptian times, religion was everywhere. Religion was not separate from life. It was interwoven into everything. The skyline featured temples to many gods and households, contained shrines to personal deities. The overarching theme of Egyptian society was ma'at. It's a balance, a desire for order and harmony in nature and society. These pyramids were fascinating constructions, even for today's standards, with a lot of mystery surrounding them. The Great Pyramid was reported to have a 20-ton swivel door that was so well balanced it could be opened with one hand from the inside, but was invisible and impossible to find from the outside. The pyramids were massive. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built using approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, with each weighing an average of 2.5 tons. Some of the largest granite blocks in the inner chambers weigh up to 80 tons. Questions have obviously been asked how labourers could possibly manage such a task. What's more fascinating though is the mystery, how the internal temperature of the pyramids, regardless of the scorching desert heat outside, remains a constant 20 degrees Celsius, 68 Fahrenheit. The Great Pyramid is aligned almost perfectly to true north with a precision of about 3/60th of a degree. Also, the 3 main Giza pyramids mirror the 3 stars of Orion's belt. The Great Pyramid of Giza aligns perfectly with the cardinal points north, south, east and west. During the spring and autumn equinoxes, it casts no shadow at noon, highlighting the ancient Egyptians' advanced understanding of astronomy. This precise alignment suggests that the pyramid was not just a tomb, but also an astronomical observatory. The universe, the planet, the stars, the cosmic scale is all explained in a mathematical equation called pi. The Great Pyramid of Giza displays a remarkable relationship with pi, where dividing the perimeter of the base by twice the height yields a value close to 3.14159. This relationship is over 99.9% accurate. Pi is found in nature, describing patterns like the spiral of DNA, the structure of animal markings, the sinuosity of bendiness of rivers. It appears in formulas for atomic, celestial, and quantum and cosmological scales. It is embedded in equations for general relativity, curving spacetime, quantum mechanics, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, and Albert Einstein's general relativity principle. It calculates planetary motion in orbital mechanics. Pi is an irrational transcendental number that never ends and never repeats, often appearing as an infinite sequence. It is vital because it's a fundamental mathematical constant linking a circle's circumference to its diameter, appearing everywhere from basic geometry to describing natural phenomena. Waves, DNA, spirals, galactic structures. The mysteries of the pyramids are endless. In fact, in 2023, scientists using cosmic rays confirmed the existence of a 30-foot-long hidden corridor behind the original entrance of the Great Pyramid. These spaces remain unexplored due to their inaccessibility, fueling speculations about hidden ancient knowledge. The foundational laws of the universe, rooted in ancient Egyptian and Greek wisdom, are encapsulated in the Hermetic principles, attributed to Hermes Trismegismus, thrice great Hermes. These teachings, often described as a synthesis of the Egyptian god Thoth, the scribe of the gods, and the Greek god Hermes, are believed to have originated in the esoteric wisdom of ancient Egypt, and are foundational to alchemy, astrology, and Hermetic philosophy. Let's start with the first of the 7 Hermetic principles. The principle of mentalism. All is mind, meaning the universe is a mental creation and reality originates from consciousness. The principle of mentalism states that the entire universe, the stars, the earth, and even our own bodies, is a mental creation of the all, the universal mind. Instead of seeing the cosmos as a cold machine made of dead matter, mentalism views it as a living, thinking organism. Think of the universe as a complex dream or thought, occurring within the mind of the divine. Because we are thoughts within that mind, we share in its creative power. In the Hermetic tradition, mentalism is the first and most vital of the 7 universal laws. It's the operating system for the entire cosmos. The all is mind, the universe is mental. This principle, famously detailed in the Kybalion, posits that because everything we perceive as physical reality is actually a mental construct within the mind of the divine, the all. Long before the simulation theory, Hermetism argued that the universe is a dream or a thought process. Because humans are microcosms of the divine, our own minds possess the same creative power to shape our personal reality through thought and vibration. This is where the term mental alchemy comes from. It's the ability to change one's mental state from fear to courage, or lack to abundance, to alter outer circumstances. While it sounds mystical, the concept has interesting parallels in modern fields. In quantum physics, we have the observer effect. This suggests that the act of observation, a mental process, is required to collapse a wave function into a particle of matter. The crossover between Hermetic mentalism and quantum physics centers on the idea that mind is not a byproduct of matter, but its source. So what is the observer effect? In quantum physics, the observer effect is the phenomenon where the act of measuring or observing a system necessarily changes its state. In quantum mechanics, subatomic particles exist as probability waves until they are observed. This mirrors the Hermetic claim that all is mind, suggesting that consciousness is the necessary ingredient that collapses the wave function into physical reality. Mentalism teaches that everything is in motion and has a specific vibration. Quantum theory proposes that everything from light to electrons behave as both a wave and a particle. String theory further suggests that the universe's fundamental building blocks are actually tiny vibrating strings of energy, much like the vibratory thoughts described in the Kybalion. To observe anything, you must interact with it. In the macroscopic world, like checking a car tire pressure, the disturbance is negligible. In the quantum world though, however, the probe, often a single photon, carries enough energy to fundamentally alter the tiny particle being studied. Before observation, quantum particles exist in multiple potential states simultaneously, called a superposition. This means that every possibility exists. The act of measurement forces the system to choose one definite outcome, collapsing the mathematical wave function from a spread out wave of probability into a single localized particle. This was demonstrated in the double slit experiment. When unobserved electrons were fired at a barrier with two slits, they behaved like waves, interfering with themselves to create a striped interference pattern on a screen. When observed though, if a detector is placed at the slits to see which one the electron passes through, the interference pattern disappears. The electrons suddenly behave like solid paintballs, passing through only one slit. The Copenhagen interpretation is the most widely taught framework for understanding quantum mechanics. Developed in the late 1920s by Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg, it attempts to bridge the gap between the weirdness of the subatomic world and our everyday classical experience. As of 2025, it remains a leading paradigm among physicists due to its practical focus on experimental results over metaphysical speculation. Several prominent physicists have leaned into mentalist territory. Max Planck, he is the father of quantum theory, and he famously stated, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness." Physicist John Wheeler proposed, "We live in a participatory universe where the mind of the observer is essential to the existence of the observed." Neuroplasticity shows the scientific fact that focused thought can physically rewire the brain structure. So why does all this matter? Let me tell you. If the universe is mental, then your thoughts and intentions are the primary tools for changing your reality. This is the root of modern manifestation theories. Hermetists believe that by mastering your own mind, you can influence the mental laws of the universe to achieve your goals. In the realm of Hermetism, mentalism isn't just a mind over matter slogan, it's the ontological claim that matter is mind. The master key is the principle of mentalism. It posits that the universe is a mental creation of the all. While we perceive the world as solid, Hermetists view it as a divine thought form or a grand simulation. The second Hermetic law is correspondence. The second universal law is famously summed up by the maxim, as above, so below, as below, so above, as within, so without. Because your individual mind is a fractal of the universal mind, your internal thoughts are the blueprint for your external reality. Mental transmutation is the art of changing your vibration or mental state. If the universe is mental, then changing your mind is the only way to fundamentally change your life. This principle suggests that the same laws govern everything from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy. By studying a microcosm, like the human cell or the mind, you can understand the macrocosm, the universe or the divine. Consider the structural similarity between an atom, electrons orbiting a nucleus, and the solar system, planets orbiting a sun. The golden ratio is the Fibonacci sequence, appearing in both the spiral of a seashell and the arms of a galaxy. It is seen by Hermetists as physical proof of this correspondence. The fractal universal theory suggests the cosmos is self-similar at every scale, meaning the same geometric patterns repeat from the subatomic to the galactic. In Hermetism, this is the physical manifestation of the principle of correspondence, as above, so below. Nature rarely uses straight lines, preferring fractal geometry. You can see this blueprint in biological branching, the structure of human lung bronchi. It mirrors the branching of trees and the flow of river deltas. The cosmic web, high-resolution simulations of the large-scale structure of the universe, show a filament network that looks nearly identical to the neural network of a human brain. In the golden ratio, the Fibonacci spiral governs the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower, the curve of a hurricane, and the shape of spiral galaxies. Fractal theory is closely tied to the holographic principle. In a hologram, every tiny piece contains the data for the entire image. Similarly, in a fractal universe, a single atom theoretically contains the code for the entire cosmos. To a student of mentalism, the fractal nature of reality proves that the universe is a mathematical thought. If the all is mind, then reality is generated by a recursive algorithm, a single divine thought repeating itself into infinite complexity. In practical Hermetism, this law means your internal state is a direct reflection of your external environment. If your mind is chaotic, your life will reflect that chaos. But by changing your inner world, mentalism, you automatically force the outer world to realign via correspondence. Hermetists believe the outer world acts as a massive mirror. It cannot show you anything that isn't already present within your own consciousness. The internal is your beliefs, vibrations and mental patterns. The external is the people you attract, the opportunities you see, and the luck you experience. This philosophy shifts power from the environment to the individual. If you dislike your external situation, the Hermetic teachings suggest that trying to fix the outside is like trying to change a reflection by painting the mirror. To change the image, you must change the object, your mind. Modern psychology echoes this via projection. If you are internally fearful, you will interpret a neutral external event as a threat. By shifting your internal state to abundance or courage, your brain's reticular activating system physically filters the external world to find evidence that supports your new internal state. From a mentalism perspective, if the universe is mental, there is no actual outside. The barrier between me and the world is a mental construct. Therefore, adjusting the internal frequency automatically adjusts the external reality because they are actually the same substance. The third law is the principle of vibration. In the principle of vibration, nothing rests, everything moves. Everything in the universe vibrates at a specific frequency. The difference between things is the rate of vibration. Vibration bridges the gap between mentalism, which is thought, and correspondence, the mirror, by explaining how different levels of reality interact. In the Hermetic view, the only difference between spirit and matter is their rate of vibration. The three great planes are the spiritual plane. This is the highest frequency. This is the all, or pure consciousness. It is so fast it feels like absolute stillness. Then you have the mental plane. This is the middle frequency. This is the realm of thoughts, ideas, and mind. In the corpus hermeticum, this is the bridge where humans interact with the divine. The physical plane is the lowest, densest frequency. This is the matter we can touch, rocks, plants, and our own bodies. In Hermetism, the spectrum of existence is a vertical scale of density and light. It suggests that everything in the cosmos is made of the same divine substance, differing only in its rate of vibration. Hermetism argues that matter isn't actually solid, it's just slowed down energy. This mirrors the famous E equals mc squared by Albert Einstein, which proved that matter is simply a concentrated form of energy. If you were to speed up a rock's vibration enough, it would eventually become light, then thought, then spirit. Many esoteric traditions use the spectrum of existence to explain the soul's journey. Involution meaning the descent of spirit into dense matter, the creation of the body. Evolution is the ascent of the soul back up the spectrum through gnosis, knowledge, to return to the source. Because everything is on one continuous spectrum, you can tune your own life like a radio. By raising your mental vibration, you align yourself with the higher frequencies of the spectrum, peace, clarity, and wisdom, effectively moving through the planes without leaving your physical body. Modern physics increasingly aligns with this ancient law through string theory. It proposes that the fundamental building blocks of the universe aren't bits of matter, but tiny vibrating strings of energy. The frequency at which these strings vibrate determines whether they manifest as an electron, a photon, or a quark. Modern science's string theory is the closest mathematical cousin to the Hermetic principle of vibration. While Hermetism describes a spiritual reality, string theory provides a potential physical framework for the same concept, that everything in the existence is essentially a tune. In standard physics, particles are seen as point-like dots. String theory replaces these dots with unimaginably tiny, one-dimensional vibrating strings. Just as a violin string produces different notes depending on how it's plucked, these cosmic strings produce different particles based on their vibrational mode. An electron is simply a string vibrating in one specific pattern, while a quark or photon is the same string vibrating at a different frequency. For the math of these vibrations to work, the theory requires more than our standard 4 dimensions, that is 3D, 3 of space, and 1 of time. Most versions require 10 or 11 dimensions, which means there are hidden planes. These extra dimensions are curled up so tightly that we can't see them, yet they dictate the shape of the vibrations, much like the body of a French horn shapes the sound of the air passing through it. While it remains a theory of everything candidate, its status is currently a mix of high-level math and experimental frustration. In early 2026, researchers found that biological networks, like blood vessels and neurons, follow organizational rules borrowed from string theory's mathematical machinery. Recent models have finally successfully aligned string theory with the universe's accelerated expansion, dark energy, a hurdle that previously stumped physicists for decades. In 2025, physicists used a bootstrap method to determine that string scattering amplitudes are a mathematically inevitable description of the universe, even without direct experimental proof. The ultimate aim of string theory is to unify general relativity, gravity large scale, with quantum mechanics, subatomic small scale. It does this by showing that gravity is also just another vibrational mode of the string, the graviton. Because thoughts are also vibrations, a master of the Kybalion uses this principle to change their mental state. Just as a tuning fork can make an other fork across the room start to hum, your mental vibration can influence the people and environments around you. It's called changing the key. By focusing on a higher frequency, like love or courage, you can cancel out a lower frequency, like fear or hate, through interference. Mental transmutation is the art of mental chemistry, according to the Kybalion. It is the ability to change the state, nature, and quality of your mind to influence your reality. Think of it as the psychological version of turning lead into gold, transforming heavy states like fear into precious states like courage. Because the principle of mentalism teaches that the universe is mental, a change in your mental vibration, that is your mood or your frequency, forces a change in your environment. A polarity shift is when you don't kill a negative thought, you displace it by focusing on its opposite. In Hermeticism, hate and love are the same thing, the same emotion, just at different degrees. Transmutation is simply sliding up the scale towards the positive pole. Techniques of the mental alchemists include willpower and concentration. The primary tool is the will. By resolutely refusing to dwell on a low vibrational thought and forcing the mind to dwell on a higher one, you rekey your mental atmosphere. Just as a magnet can turn a piece of iron into a magnet, a strong mind can induce its vibration in others. This is why being around a calm person makes you feel calm. They are practicing unconscious transmutation. The mind cannot hold two opposite thoughts at the exact same time. So if you fill your mental cup with the vibration of success, the vibration of failure is physically crowded out. In cognitive behavioral therapy, reframing a problem is a form of transmutation. Changing the mental quality of a memory or event. Athletes use mental transmutation to shift from a performance anxiety, low frequency, to being in the zone, high frequency, through ritual and focus. Is called the flow state. It relies on the principle of vibration. If you change the internal rate of your mental vibration, the principle of correspondence ensures that the outer mirror of your life must eventually reflect that new frequency. Everything you perceive is a vibratory rate. Colours have different frequencies of light. Sound has different frequencies of air. Emotions have different frequencies of mental energy. While there isn't one single famous Einstein vibrational quote, the idea stems from his concepts that matter and energy are interchangeable and everything vibrates at a frequency. He concepts that everything, including seemingly solid objects, are essentially vibrating energy. Einstein's work showed matter, which is mass, and energy are two forms of the same thing related by vibration. The concept that everything has a frequency is linked to this, suggesting even solid matter is just a very low frequency vibration of energy. The fourth universal law is the principle of polarity. In Hermeticism, the principle of polarity states, everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. According to the Kybalion, what we perceive as opposites are actually the same thing, differing only in degree, like two ends of the same stick. Think of a thermometer. Where does cold stop and heat begin? There is no fixed point. They are both simply descriptions of temperature. Love and hate. These are not two different emotions, but the two extreme poles of the same emotional feeling. Light and dark. Dark is just the low vibration end of the scale of light. In Hermetism, the sliding scale is the visual model for the principle of polarity. It suggests that the universe isn't made of binary good vs evil or hot vs cold blocks, but of continuous gradients of the same substance. Everything in existence sits on a scale of vibration. At the bottom of the scale, vibration is so slow it feels like solid matter. At the top, it is so fast it feels like pure spirit. The Kybalion points out that hot and cold are merely arbitrary labels we give to different points on the same scale of heat energy. There is no spot on a thermometer where cold officially begins. On the musical scale, just as a low C and a high C are the same note at different octaves, hate and love are the same emotion at different intensities. The sliding scale is the mechanism for mental transmutation. If you are at the pole of poverty, which is lack, don't fight it. You focus your mind on the opposite pole of opulence, abundance. By dwelling on the higher degree, you slide your mental state up the scale. Sometimes the best way to move in the scale is just to become neutral, withdrawing energy from the negative pole until you can begin the climb towards the positive. Because everything is on a sliding scale, the principle of polarity states that truth itself is a gradient. The half-truth example is every statement is only partially true because it is only a single point on a vast infinite scale. This allows a hermetist to see the truth in opposing viewpoints, as they are simply looking at different degrees of the same reality. This law suggests that absolute truth and absolute falsehood are merely two poles of the same thing. This is why Hermeticism teaches that every truth is only a half-truth, and every paradox can be reconciled by looking at the scale it sits on. The phrase, "all paradoxes may be reconciled," is the practical conclusion of the principle of polarity. It suggests that conflict only exists when we view the world as a series of separate either-or categories rather than a single, continuous, sliding scale. Paradoxes occur when two truths seem to contradict each other. Hermetism reconciles them by showing they are merely the two poles of the same thing. For example, rest and motion are reconciled by the fact that even objects at rest are vibrating at a molecular level. The upward shift is in order to reconcile a paradox, you must rise to a higher level of mentalism where the two poles merge. From the perspective of the all, this is the universal mind, there are no opposites, only a singular infinite reality, reconciled by the principles of cause and effect. While you are subject to the fate of lower laws, you use your free will to rise to a higher plane and become a cause rather than an effect. Reconciled by the principle of vibration, they are the same substance at different speeds. In quantum mechanics, light is both a wave and a particle. The paradox is reconciled by the experimental setup, which is the observer. It is one thing that reveals different poles depending on how it is measured. A master of Hermetism uses this principle to remain centered by knowing that this too shall pass, or that every cloud has a silver lining. They reconcile the bad with the good, seeing the unity behind the apparent duality. In practical uses, it neutralizes negativity. When you encounter a negative person, you can recognize they are just at a low degree of the same scale you are on, allowing you to remain unswayed. By consciously choosing which pole to dwell on, you use the principle of correspondence to reflect that state in your outer world. If you're in a state of fear, don't fight the fear. You focus on the vibration of courage. Since they are the same thing, raising your vibration automatically pulls you away from the fear pole and towards the courage pole. The fifth universal principle is the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has a measure, a swing, backward and forward, similar to a pendulum. In Hermetism, the principle of rhythm is everything flows out and in, everything has its tides, all things rise and all things fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. It describes the motion between the poles we discussed in the principle of polarity. This law suggests that in every pair of opposites, there is a constant backward and forward movement. Think of the inhalation and exhalation of the breath, the ebb and flow of the tides, the seasons, and the rise and fall of empires. In mental states, your moods naturally swing from high to low. The Kybalion warns that the further the pendulum swings to the right, with extreme joy, the further it must eventually swing to the left, extreme sorrow. In Hermetism, the pendulum swing is the visual metaphor for the principle of rhythm. It dictates that every state of being, mental, physical, spiritual, is in a constant state of flux between the two poles. Your capacity for intense joy is exactly equal to your capacity for intense sorrow. The universe maintains an equilibrium. A period of extreme activity or boom must be followed by a period of rest or burst. Most people are slaves to the pendulum. When it swings towards the positive pole, they feel invincible. But when it inevitably swings back towards the negative pole, they fall into despair. The Kybalion teaches that these mood swings are natural cycles. They're not permanent failures. Hermetic masters used the law of neutralization to avoid being dragged along by the backward swing. They use their will to rise to a higher mental plane by observing the downswing as a detached witness rather than a victim. They allow the negative energy to pass underneath them. They stay centered at the top of the pendulum's pivot point rather than riding the heavy weight at the bottom. In real-world cycles, let's look at biology. The circadian rhythm, sleep-wake cycle, is a biological pendulum. The Strauss-Hall generational theory suggests history moves in 80-year turning swings, swinging between periods of crisis and periods of high institutional order. In physics, every oscillation from a heartbeat to an electromagnetic wave is a physical manifestation of this principle. The law of neutralization is the advanced cheat code for the principle of rhythm. It allows a person to stop being a puppet of their own moods and external cycles. This is the act of becoming the observer rather than the participant. Neutralization involves a process of mental denial. When the swing to the left, sadness, lack, lethargy, when this begins, the practitioner refuses to set their sail to catch that wind. They remain firm in a state of mental transmutation, focusing on the higher pole. It allows the negative energy to exhaust itself without attaching to it. The Stoic practice of remaining indifferent to things outside one's control is a form of neutralization. In meditation, when you label a feeling, I am feeling anger, rather than being the feeling, I am angry, you are neutralizing the rhythmic swing of that emotion. Savvy investors use this law by staying calm during a market crash, that's the backward swing, knowing it is a natural cycle and refusing to sell in a panic. The goal isn't to become a robot, but to achieve equanimity. By neutralizing the rhythm, you prevent the crash that usually follows a high, leading to a more consistent, powerful life. Let's look at chemistry. Neutralization is a reaction in which an acid and a base react quantitatively with each other. In a reaction in water, neutralization results in there being no excess of hydrogen or hydroxide ions left in the solution. In physics, every vibration is a rhythmic movement. Light and sound are waves that move in a rhythmic cycle of peaks and troughs. In economics, the boom and bust cycle of markets is a perfect example of the principle of rhythm acting on a societal scale. The law of compensation is the balancing mechanism of the principle of rhythm. It dictates that the universe is a closed system of accounting, where every swing in one direction must be paid for by a swing in the other. This Hermetic law was famously explored by Ralph Waldo Emerson in his 1841 essay called Compensation. He argued that dualism, for everything you gain, you lose. For everything you lose, you gain. It's known as nature's balance. A person with great wealth may suffer a loss of peace or genuine connection. A person with a physical disability often develops a compensation in the form of heightened other senses or mental fortitude. The difference from karma. While similar to the principle of cause and effect, compensation is specifically about equilibrium. The sixth universal law is cause and effect. The Hermetic law, cause and effect, means every cause has its effect. There is no such thing as chance. Everything happens according to law. The principle of cause and effect, or causality, is the fundamental concept that every event effect is the direct result of a preceding event or condition, cause, forming a chain of interconnected actions and reactions, foundational in physics, like Newton's third law, philosophy, and in personal development, where one's thoughts and actions create future realities. It explains that things don't happen randomly, but they are linked, meaning understanding and controlling causes, actions, thoughts, intentions, allows for influencing events, outcomes, and results. For every action, there is a reaction. For every cause, there is an effect. The relationship is not accidental, but a necessary linkage, allowing for prediction and understanding. Living at the cause side means taking responsibility for outcomes, where living at the effect side involves making excuses. Newton's third law of motion states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, meaning when one object exerts a force on a second object, the second object simultaneously exerts a force equal in magnitude and opposite in direction of the first. These forces always occur in pairs, acting on different objects, and are the same type of force. I'll give you some examples. Walking. Your foot pushes backward on the ground, that's action, and the ground pushes forward on your foot, that's reaction, propelling you forward. In rocketry, the rocket expels hot gas downward, that's action, and the gas pushes the rocket upwards, that's reaction. In metaphysics, spirituality, thoughts are causes and life conditions are effects. Focusing attention attracts similar experience from using affirmations and visualizations. Personal growth is studying successful people. This reveals their causes, that's their habits and their actions, that you can replicate to achieve similar effects, achieving success. Chaos theory, otherwise known as the butterfly effect, this illustrates how small causes can have massive, far-reaching effects. Famous examples include a butterfly's wing, one flap, the flapping, causing a distant tornado, the accidental discovery of penicillin from an open window, or a missed turn leading to World War I. Even though the forces are equal, their effects can seem different due to mass. A feather falling involves the earth pulling the feather down, but the feather also pulls the earth up with the same force. The feather's acceleration is noticeable because of its small mass, while the earth's acceleration is imperceptible. Aristotle had 4 causes and explanations for why something exists or changes. He had the material cause. This is what something is, what it's made of. For example, bronze for a statue. He had the formal cause, its form or essence, example, the statue's shape. He had the efficient cause, the primary source of change, example, the sculptor. And then he had the final cause, which was its purpose or end goal, honouring a deity, for example. In essence, the principle of cause and effect highlights that our reality is a continuous loop of events where our deliberate actions, thoughts, and intentions shape what happens to us, making us active participants in creating our lives. The final and 7th universal law is the principle of gender. Gender is in everything, containing both masculine and feminine principles. The principle of gender from Hermetic philosophy in the Kybalion states that everything contains masculine and feminine principles, yin, yang. Not just physical sex, manifesting on physical, mental, and spiritual planes as creative, unifying forces essential for generation and balance, where one polarity waxes as the other wanes, like a constant interplay of active masculine and receptive feminine energies. In a broader context, principles of gender also refer to concepts of gender equality and gender responsive analysis, emphasizing equal opportunities, fair representation, and understanding gender roles in the society and communication. In manifestation, this principle applies beyond physical sex to mental and spiritual planes, driving creation and regeneration. Achieving balance between these energies within oneself is key for self-mastery, representing a middle way. Biological reproduction is the physical manifestation of the need of both. Masculine, it initiates and seeds, and feminine receives and nurtures. These principles unite to create new life. In atomic structure, the Kybalion identifies gender in the building blocks of matter. Positive masculine ions and negative feminine ions cluster together. Their interaction is what generates the atom. Hermetism teaches that every individual possesses a dual mind, consisting of masculine and feminine principles. The I and the me, the I masculine, is the aspect of the mind that represents the will. It is the actor and initiator. The me feminine is the creative aspect, which receives impressions from the I and generates new thoughts, ideas, and imagery. True genius or original thought requires both for balanced thinking. Without the masculine will, the feminine mind only generates passive reflections. And without the feminine creative force, the masculine will has no substance to act upon. Gender manifests as the interplay of forces that direct and sustain energy. Let's look at electricity. The masculine is identified with the positive pole, the transmitter, and the feminine with the negative pole, the receiver. Both are required to complete a circuit and generate power. Light and manifestations like light, heat, and magnetism are viewed as results of the dance between masculine and feminine corpuscles vibrating on the plane of energy. Metaphorically, the sun is seen as masculine. It gives light and energy, while the earth is feminine, receiving light and nurturing life from it. In manifestation, the principle of gender teaches that everything you desire to bring into reality requires the union of two distinct internal forces, both masculine and feminine. Manifestation fails when these energies are out of balance. For example, taking constant action with a clear vision as masculine excess. It leads to burnout, while dreaming without execution, feminine excess, leads to stagnation. The masculine principle provides the structure and direction needed for a desire to take form. Intentional focus is setting clear, specific goals and using will to keep the mind fixed on the desired outcome. Direct action is identifying and taking the logical next steps or inspired actions required to reach a goal. Protective structure is creating routines, setting boundaries, and establishing a container, like a business plan or a daily schedule, so the creative energy does not scatter. The feminine principle, the womb and the magnet, is the actual creative engine that nurtures the seed and draws the manifestation towards you. Intuition and imagination, receiving the initial inspiration and using visualization to feel the reality of the desire before it exists. Receptivity and surrender is opening yourself up to receive the outcome and trusting in divine timing, rather than trying to force the result through pure effort. Magnetism is where the masculine pursues, the feminine attracts, by maintaining a high vibrational state of gratitude and ease. Okay guys, That's it for today. I hope this gives you a good understanding of the 7 Hermetic principles. And I will leave you with these words. As above, so below. As within, so without. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.